you need to be aware of that this is the path of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. They always revive the obligations of commanding good and forbidding evil, and the obligation of the jihad fi sabilillah. The seventh attribute of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a is that they are people of hadith and riwayah. They are the people of verification. They always check the isnad, the chain of narration. And subhanallah, my dear brothers and sisters, you know the Islamic Sharia, the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, has such a unique mechanism of checking the authenticity of every single thing, my dear brothers and sisters, to the extent that no other nation has ever had any system of authenticity like the deen of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That the ulama compiled the biographies of all the narrators, that they compiled the way they lived, where they died, who their fathers were, who their mothers were, which lands they traveled with, who their ulama were they trustworthy, what were the political views, to such an extent, my dear brothers and sisters, that there is not a man who's narrated a hadith except we know about him. And if we do not know about him, then we never accept any hadith from him, my dear brothers and sisters. This is a situation, this is how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala guided this ummah with the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. The ulama like Imam Bukhari, the ulama like Imam Muslim, like Imam Tirmidhi, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, Ibn Majah, Tirmidhi, all these ulama, Yahya bin Ma'in, Layth bin Sa'd, Imam Shafi'i, all these ulama, my dear brothers and sisters. This is what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala blessed this ummah with his fadl. And that's why we find that Imam Khatib al-Baghdadi, he reported that the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, he said, this deen will be carried by the Khalaf, meaning they're responsible after you. He said, from every Khalaf, the trustworthy among them will carry it. They will remove all the exaggerations that have been written and the false narrations and interpretation of the ignorant people, by their brothers and sisters. That is why you find, my dear brothers, by the fadl of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when people try to say the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is created, Imam Ahmad bin Hanbal, he rose up with the Tawheed, he rose up with the Quran, he rose up with the Hadith, the Sunnah of the Messenger Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That is why you find in the time of Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah, when the Tartars came in, when the people of Bid'ah came in, and he began to try to corrupt the deen of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he rose with the Sunnah and he rose with the sword of Tawheed, my dear brothers. That's why we find that Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah, we find that Shaykh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab, he rose with the Tawheed, he rose with the narrations of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He took the ummah back to the path of the Salafus Salih when the corruption began to come around, my dear brothers and sisters. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. This is a situation, my dear brothers and sisters, that this deen will always be protected by those ulama that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will send to remove the exaggerations and remove the interpretation of the jahil, of the ignorant. That is the situation, my dear brothers and sisters. That's why we find that Imam Ibn Sirin, he said that Tabi'een never used to ask about isnad. But he said when the fitna broke out, they began to ask, he said, tell us your men of hadith. And said whatever they said, whatever they said, we will take it because it was verified from them. Meaning if it was people of hadith that have been verified, we will take it from them. And said when we looked to the people of bid'ah, we never took anything from them because we were people who were not verified, my dear brothers and sisters. So you need to be aware that Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a are people always check the narrations, always make sure that the narrations are sahih, always make sure that the narrations are correct. And obviously we are not saying to you that you people, or you brothers and sisters and myself are people of narration that we can go and begin to check each hadith is sahih or not, but rather we refer to the ulama of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a, we refer to them. They're the ones who will check the narrations, who make sure the narrations are not from the narrations that are da'if or narrations which have been fabricated, my dear brothers and sisters. This is the attribute of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. And what is the other attribute of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a, my dear brothers and sisters? Is that Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a are people who are always missed by the people. They're people who are always missed when they pass away, when they die, or when they get imprisoned. They're always missed by the ummah, my dear brothers and sisters. Always missed by other people from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. Because they're so busy in bringing goodness to the people. Everywhere they go, always commanding good, forbidding evil, always busy in the jihad fi sabilillah, always busy in the obligations for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They become beacons for the community. They become beacons for the people going forward, my dear brothers and sisters. So when they leave, when they pass away, the people begin to miss them, my dear brothers and sisters. That is the situation. That's why it's narrated in Imam Lalikai's Kitab Shar al-Sunnah Wal Kitab al-Shar Usul Ittiqad Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. He said that Imam Ayyub as-Saktiyani, he said if I hear news that somebody from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a has passed away, he said it's as if I've lost a part of my body. He said those who wish for them to die, those who wish for Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a to die, they're those people who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala spoken about in Surah As-Saf, when he said they wish to extinguish the light of Allah with their tongues, but Allah has decreed that He will always fulfill His deen, my dear brothers and sisters, even though the kuffars hate it. So you need to be aware of that, my dear brothers and sisters. The Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a will be people who will always be missed, and when they pass away, you feel as though a part of your body has been taken away. Subhanallah, even just to mention Anyway, inshallah, that news needs to be verified, inshallah, about one of the ulama. They said that he's been arrested, inshallah, but I need to verify, inshallah, before I begin to speak about it, inshallah. So I'll ask the Sheikh later on, inshallah, or inshallah, bi'idhnillah, maybe we can ask Sheikh Faiz, inshallah, he can verify for us, inshallah, if the news is true, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. But before we speaking about it, let's verify, inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. I'm a bad. So my dear brothers and sisters, like I was saying to you, is that Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a are those people who are always missed amongst themselves, amongst the Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a themselves, that when they leave, the people begin to miss them because of such goodness that they used to bring, because of the fadl that they used to have, because of the commanding good and forbidding evil, and engaging in a jihad fi sabilillah. That is the wider situation we find that, my dear brothers. We find that when Imam Abdul Aziz ibn Muhammad ibn al-Darudi, he's from amongst the tabi'in, we find that when he passed away, the people went to meet Sufyan ibn Uyayna. And when they went to meet Sufyan ibn Uyayna, they found him, he was so ill because he heard the news that the Imam Muhammad al-Darudi had passed away. And they said to him, we never knew that it would affect you in such a way. We never knew that it would affect you in such a manner, my dear. We never knew. He said he was a man from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. That's how he replied to them, my dear brothers. He said that he was a man from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. That is why Sufyan al-Thawri, that's why Imam Sufyan ibn Uyayna, he became ill, my dear brothers and sisters. Because of this situation, my dear brothers, because a man from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a had passed away. And said also that we find Awan ibn Abdullah al-Qafi, is that whoever dies on Islam and the Sunnah, then he has all the good news. Then he has the good news of the success, but also of that the believers will miss him, my dear brothers and sisters. So that is the situation of Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a. We find that the people still today still remember Shaykh al-Islam bin Taymiyyah. The people today still remember Sheikh Muhammad ibn Abdul Wahhab. We find that from amongst the Mujahideen, those from Ahlul Sunnah Wal Jamm'a, so dear to the hearts of the believer, the people are still missing them. Sheikh Abdul Aziz al-Mukrim Abu Haja, the people still have so much love for him and so much, so much missing for him. Sheikh Yusuf al-Yeri al-Battah, the people still have so much missing for him, my dear brothers and sisters. Okay? Bismillah. This is a situation, my dear brothers and sisters. We find that is a situation that when they go away, the people begin to miss them. Not only that, my dear brothers and sisters, inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, what we'll do, inshallah, we'll finish it here, inshallah, alhamdulillah rabbil alameen. Inshallah ta'ala, we can maybe have question and answers, inshallah, regarding the topic, for a few, maybe about 2-3 minutes, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, before the Sheikh comes on, inshallah. As soon as the Sheikh comes on, inshallah, then we'll leave it, inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala. Jazakallah khair, wa qulu qawli astaghfirullah, walhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Inshallah, brothers and sisters, if there's no question and answers, if there's no, I have a question not upon the subject. Inshallah, brother, you can ask, inshallah. That's no problem, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. If I know, inshallah, I'll ask, inshallah. If I don't know, bi'idhnillah, inshallah, I'll ask somebody who's more knowledgeable than me, inshallah. Bismillah, inshallah, brother, fire it. Allah. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to know a dua we can say before an exam or a test. But to be honest, I don't know a specific dua related to an exam or a test, inshallah. But I would recommend a good book, inshallah. It's called Fortress of a Muslim. It's a dua book, inshallah. Oh, you can't hear me. Like I said, but inshallah, I don't know a specific dua, inshallah, in relation to if you're facing an exam or a test. I mean, like a school test or something like that, inshallah. Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. I don't know a specific dua for that, inshallah. But obviously, inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He speaks, He can hear all languages, inshallah. So if you ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with the general terminology, or Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please make this test easy for me, inshallah, and allow me to be successful in it, if it's good for me in this life and the hereafter, then inshallah, alhamdulillah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will answer your dua, inshallah. And not only that as well, there's a dua in the Fortress of a Muslim, it's page 140, inshallah. Maybe you can see that dua, inshallah. It's called the dua in the times of worry and grief, inshallah. Is a good dua, inshallah, which will make you have have the sukoon inside your heart, inshallah, when you're facing trials and tests, inshallah. I know for myself that or when I used to go to court, when I was on trial, is a dua that I used to use quite frequently, alhamdulillah. And alhamdulillah, it was very beneficial for me, inshallah. So bi'idhnillah, inshallah, maybe you can use that dua, inshallah, and inshallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it beneficial for you, inshallah. But apart from that, specific dua related to that, I don't know, inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, inshallah. But obviously regarding your question, this is somebody that I'm aware of, inshallah, and I know from trustworthy sources who have sat inside his majlis before, is that they said that this man, he defends the Saudi government basically. You know, he believes that, you know, it's an Islamic government basically, and obviously those people who say anything about them basically has animosity towards them, inshallah. And obviously this is the situation with these people. You find that, yeah, alhamdulillah, they have the same aqidah generally with us, i.e., for example, they'll say that, you know, the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that we believe in them in their apparent, you know, without making any ta'wil, without making any ta'dil, without making any you know, tasbih, or without making any you know, any of these things, or bilaqayf and so forth. But obviously when it comes to the issue of implementing the tawheed and rejecting the taghut, when it comes to those rulers in the Muslim lands who are ruling by man-made law, you find that these people will completely turn 360 and they say to Aqid, you know what's inside his heart, you know, etc, 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 inshallah. So my advice to you, brother, is be careful, inshallah, and try to verify a bit more, inshallah, bi'idhnillah, from maybe people who study with him, inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, so you can find a bit more information, inshallah. But if anything, if you leave it with me, I can double check for you even more, inshallah, bi'idhnillah. But I know from from trustworthy Muslims that is the situation in relation to the rulers in Saudi Arabia. But inshallah, bi'idhnillah ta'ala, what I can do, I can find more information for you, inshallah. And maybe if you're online tonight, inshallah, I'll send that information to you, inshallah. Jazakallah khairan kareem for your question, inshallah. That is why we find that Abu Bakr Siddiq radiallahu anhum, he said what?